Soulless Dead, Chapter 9, Dorado. It was still fairly late, and we were almost there. After a bunch of jerry-rigging and trying to figure out how to get the GPS inside the engine to boot up, we were able to find the track switches and make our way down south towards Wichita. That seemed to be the only thing that electronically that was working, and it was nice to have a map. Going through the Flint Hills, though, you noticed that there was really no cities, at least no major ones. Many of them were following the highway, and we could see a few of the cities. Not very big at all, honestly. I looked in the back and I could see Trenton and Sam passed out in the back, exhausted. I looked over to Trucker Trevor. He was all zonked out like a zombie. He continued to insist when we were leaving that we didn't go full throttle. If we ever hit something, we would derail and it could end up killing us or putting us in more danger than was necessary. His hand was on the throttle, but his eyes were glossed over. Probably a trucker trick. Maybe he was sleeping with his eyes open. I'm not totally sure, but I really hoped that he never did that while he was behind the wheel. Chances are he did, and scared the daylights out of some people traveling, that's for sure. I saw my dad go out the front door on the engine, and I followed closely behind. He had taken a hammer with him. Still covered in dry blood, he scraped a little bit of it off and got it comfortable in his hand. I followed him out, and the large hum of the diesel engine pulling the train down the rails was kind of hard to hear. I asked my dad what he was doing as loud as I could. He came over to me and said, "I'm going to knock out the front light." "Why, Dad?" "You need that to see. We're going to go in a straight line, son. If anything, we'll just use the GPS as a way to tell us where we're at, and to give us a bit of a forewarning." "I guess, but why would you knock out the light? We don't want to draw too much attention to ourselves." He proceeded to push me away from where the glass would probably go, and began to strike the glass out. It sparked and zapped a little bit, my dad flinching as he swung the hammer into the light. I made my way, grabbing onto the railing as hard as I could, over to the side, looking out into the massive sea of grass that was out there. The moon shone through the clouds, and the stars were out bright. It was actually quite brilliant. It was beautiful. And to think that there's all this land and there's no buildings, no hustle and bustle, no cabbies flipping you off when you try to cross the street. A bunch of cows, and occasionally we'd see a dead, but nothing too much. It was just a massive tract of land. Eventually my dad called me in, and I slowly made my way back into the cab. My dad sat down in one of the chairs and said, "We're almost to El Dorado." "Don't you mean El Dorado?" I told my dad. He's like, "No, it's called El Dorado." By this time, Sam had woke up. He made his way forward. "That's right, it's El Dorado." "How weird, why not just call it El Dorado?" "Well, it's not a city of gold, at least not of gold like we would think." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It was an oil city. See all the pumps off in the distance?" He tried pointing them out, but it was dark enough to where I could barely see the silhouette. "I guess I'll have to take your word for it." As we made our way towards El Dorado, we began to see the lake. Trees that were partially sunk. The place was great fishing back in the day. Probably still is. I tell you what, I'm not going to go out there on a boat. Shoot, that'd be like painting the target on my head. Sam, as he leaned out the window, brought his head back in. "Alright, we should probably slow down a little bit. Either that or get through the northern part." "Why is that?" my dad said. "If anything, people are here. There's a lot of fuel. There's a lot of oil. There's going to be a lot of people running around here, and there's going to be a lot of holdouts in El Dorado. Anybody that knows anything about the fuel, which is pretty obvious, is probably going to stay here for quite some time and try to defend it. Our best option is just to speed on through." Trevor turned. "I think I'd have to agree with the kid. And something doesn't feel right. If we were just to stick around, it would just make us a huge target, and what if somebody takes the engine? Then what?" "Well, we have Sergeant Calloway and McPherson left. Maybe they could do something. No, 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 Trevor said. We wouldn't put it on them. Sam turned. I wouldn't want to put our families in danger. It just seems unnecessary. We just need to keep chugging along. About 30 minutes passed and we eventually made our way to the southern part of El Dorado and crept to a slow. The engine was turned down to really low RPMs and was eventually shut off. Okay guys, let's get ready. At this point, Trenton woke up. Why did we stop? Are we there yet? No, my father said. But we're kind of hoping that eventually we'll be able to get some supplies. You guys want to come with us? Whoa, Sam said. Did you not hear anything I said not less than half an hour ago? If we go into that town, God knows what's there. Granted, it's a smaller city, but there's still going to be a lot of people there. There's fuel here. Exactly, we can get some. It's mostly refineries. If anything, they're going to be holding out there. And if they are, it's going to be like a fortress. There's no way in God's name we're going to be able to get in there. And if we don't try... Look, if we don't try, or we do try, it just doesn't fare well for us. Let's just keep going. Well, that's going to be a bit of a problem. Why's that, Trevor? Sam said. Well, the issue is that, honestly, this rail just keeps going straight down south towards Oklahoma. We'll cut through a couple small towns, it looks like, Andover and Rose Hill. That's about it. Trenton perked up. Hey, didn't Jesse say something about going to church there or something like that? Sam pondered for a moment. Yeah, he did, actually. Yeah, he said that if there was any place you'd want to run away, it'd be there. How peculiar. Well, it's a small community, don't you think? They'd probably get along, Trucker said. I have to agree with Trevor, I called out. He looked at me. I mean, it is a small town. There's not going to be a lot of people, and for sure everybody knows everybody. It's kind of like an apartment. They look out for each other. If your friend has any head, probably go there. I mean, a big city seems nice and all, and with the military base, don't you think that would be a big target? In big cities, don't you have gangs and idiots roaming around that are willing to steal and kill? I mean, we kind of live in a lawless land right now. You have a point, son, my dad pondered. He leaned up against the wall with his finger tapping his chin. Look, maybe we can find a small group of people. Surprise them. Are you freaking kidding, Sam said. There's no way in hell that would work. And if we do surprise them, what if they shoot at us? I'm just trying to see if we can get a tactical advantage over someone, get some information. If they aren't hostile, we don't have to worry anything. Whoa, Trent said. Even if they are or aren't hostile, we're putting our lives in danger, and we're potentially gambling with somebody else's life. What if they're just trying to defend themselves, and we end up killing them? Trevor spoke up. I have to agree with the guys. Well, damn it, we don't have a lot of options, my father said. Fine, we'll find people, but we will not attack, said Trevor. There's no point in us bothering anybody. We're gonna need everybody with us. We need to look like a group. Your mother's not gonna like this, he turned to me. Danny, I need you to stay close to Trenton and Sam. Will you boys watch them? Seemingly as they were thrust into being volunteered as guard duty for the kids, they agreed. Sure, we'll take care of them. We're gonna go in town and ask some questions. If anything bad happens, Sam, you know how this throttle works, right? Yeah, you turn the key and you push forward. Yeah, it's pretty simplified. After about an hour of preparing, Sergeant Calloway, Private McPherson, a few of the men from Sam and Trenton's family, and my father and my mother went with them. They all stacked up and grabbed some things, and even some empty bags in case they found some stuff. We're gonna go into town. We're gonna see if we can't find somebody and get some information on what's going on, and if it's safe to go into Wichita. Sam, Trenton, the rest of you, stay down, stay low. If somebody comes up, here's a hand grenade. Dear God, hand grenade, Trenton said, as he laid it into his hands. We took some of these from when we were around the Carolinas. Callaway just so happened to have a few of them. Just if anybody gets too close, just toss it out the window. That should scare them enough to get them the hell away from us. What if it punctures the gas tank? Look, semantics. As long as you survive this, I'm looking out for the well-being of my own son. Very well. We'll see you guys in a little bit. My parents took off. We sat there for a couple hours. A few of the dead had walked up towards the train. We sat on the rails, dropping rocks on their heads, small ones. Didn't seem to bother them too much. Sam went on the other side and quietly grabbed a few larger ones, around 5 to 6 pounds each. Climbed back quietly on the other side and came towards where we were at. He picked up one and hurled it towards its head. It hit the head and its head cocked back and splattered blood all over the side of the train. It fell over, but it was still moaning and grumbling and gurgling. I laughed. Let me try that. I took one of the large ones, heaved it over my head, and lugged it over. It hit the thing in the collarbone. I could hear the bones crack. Sound like chicken bones. Oh, all the other guys said, laughing. I picked up another one and ended up smashing in its face. Its head jacked to the side, its legs and arms flailed around for only a second. Another one started to come up the catwalk, and Sam took the butt of a gun and pushed him off. It fell to the ground, and he went down with a knife and stuck it in its head. "You know, these things aren't too scary," he says. "Not at all," said Trenton. "I don't know. I mean, what if we get too comfortable?" I guess the kid's right. I mean, you never know. It could get you with your pants down. Speaking of pants, I gotta go use it. Alright, just stay in view. I'm not gonna stay in view. Dude. Fine, I'll take the gallon bucket, use it in the cab. Make sure the windows are open. They're blown out. It'll be fine, I said. I did my business and I came out. Only to see Sam and Trenton's hands up. "What are you guys doing?" I could hear the bolt of a gun rack. Oh, hell. Closed my eyes and I set the bucket down. It was a man and 2 small little girls. "Now hold it right there. What are you boys doing up on that train? We're with a group. They should be coming back in a few minutes," I said. Trenton said, "Now, sir, you don't want to be doing any of this. You need to put the gun down. Where are you boys from?" "We're from up north." "Bullshit. Where from?" Sam spoke up. "Lawrence area." "Lawrence? What the hell are you boys doing down here?" "We have a hunch." "What's your hunch? Make it fast, come on." I shut up, got really scared and put my back against the wall. The chance that there might be a lot of survivors and maybe even a CDC outpost in McConnell. Leavenworth fell pretty quick, so we figured if we headed down to Wichita, there might be a chance. Hell, there's even planes. The government might have a plan to get us out of here. Spirit us away to some cold place. Man kicked some gravel around, looking around. Spat on the ground, raised his gun towards us again. "I don't know what you boys heard, but Wichita's kind of back and forth. The fort fell a couple days ago." "Kidding me?" "Yeah, the CDC had something going on there. We just came from there, as a matter of fact. We were Wichitanians ourselves. My wife died on the way out. I'm having to watch these girls." Trenton spoke up. "What's your name, sir?" "That ain't important," he said. "Now, how do we get this thing started?" Sam thought of a lie. "We're out of fuel." "Bullshit, and why are you sticking by it? It's high up. The walls are pretty thick metal." "You got any food?" "Oh, just some kids here. We're using this as a temporary base until we're able to find a safe place in El Dorado." "Good luck. I've been ignoring that place like the damn plague. There's a bunch of people running around, held up in the refineries and the fuel tanks. Stolen military vehicles, you know the whole thing. There's not a lot of ways you can get in and out." Trenton spoke up again. "Well, what about the small towns around there? I figure small towns are probably the best thing, but I doubt the communities will let you in." What if we know people there? Even then, buddy, I don't know. I spoke up. Sir, there has to be a chance. Something we can do. We don't want any trouble. Please, please, just put the gun down. You got us off guard, that's fine. But thank you for the information. Man kicked the gravel, lowered his gun. Hell. Look, I apologize. I have 2 little girls here, and we need food. We have some food if you'd like some. We don't want any trouble, Sam spoke up. The only thing we need is some information. Are you sure Wichita fell? Yes, yes. I just told you I came from there. Look, this rail line goes straight down towards Andover. I wouldn't go through Andover anyway. They have completely fortressed out their town. There's no way in hell you're gonna want to stay there. I doubt that they take too. They're not very impressed on newcomers. We tried there. We've been following the rails up this way for quite some time. Stole a car or two, but honestly, didn't get very far. Not a lot of people were prepared for this, and they bugged out with half a tank of gas. The best thing you could do is keep heading down south. Maybe Texas has got it all figured out. It seems like they would. Now that's just hearsay, Trenton said. There's no way they would just be okay. No matter how many gun owners you have, it doesn't matter. You can't survive a plague that kills off a whole bunch of people. You're right. Look, you boys have been helpful. Trenton motioned for me to go get some food out of the cab. I grabbed a bunch of cookies and some food and some chips and brought it out to him. Slowly, of course. I was still frightened he could probably shoot me. I handed it to the kids and I made my way back to the train. Would you like to have a sit down? You guys must have been walking for quite some time, Trenton said. I'd be mighty neighborly of you. We made our way back inside the cabin, sat down, powwow style talking. It looked like you hadn't had anything to eat for quite some time. I was a little worried about the little ones. The man cleared his face with Doritos crumbs. My name's Jeffrey. I'm sorry I raised the gun. It's been desperate times. There haven't been a lot of folks that haven't pointed a gun back at us. Well, we just figured that nobody wants that happening. We need to help each other through that. I didn't know what to say. They just talked back and forth. Eventually I could hear someone call out. We made our way to the catwalk. What we saw was quite disturbing. What the heck happened? Trevor was holding his arm and it was bleeding. Damn! Did he get bit? Trenton said, raising up a small knife. No, he wasn't bit. He was shot in the shoulder. And who's this guy? They raised up their guns. Daniel Whitman, you get away from that man. No, it's okay, it's okay. He doesn't mean any harm. He has 2 little girls. We gave him some food. You did what? What if he was to shoot you? What if he was a crazy person? Sam spoke up. I take you guys didn't have too much luck. We were able to get some food from a corner store. We got shot at. We hightailed it out of there. Calloway and McPherson were able to put down a couple of them, but the dead started showing up after the gunshots. Long and short, it was not a good thing. We're going to talk about this in a little bit, young man. The others climbed up inside the rail car. The others had been sleeping this entire time. The engine was revved up and started. My father, James, attended to Trevor's arm. Alright, as he stitched his arm, Trevor winced, gripping the throttle really tight. Everything's gonna be okay. Your arm will be alright. It went through. You'll be fine. He wrapped a bandage around it as tight as he could. We didn't see anybody. What about you, man? Dad, I have some bad news about Wichita. It's fallen. Damn it. My dad slammed his hand against the console. And what are we supposed to do? Well, I know that I'm speaking out of turn here, sir, but maybe we could continue to head down that way. So I'm supposed to take the words of a perfectly good stranger here, my dad called out. Trenton and Sam stood up. Look, we can vouch for him. He didn't hurt us. He's got 2 kids. Look, he came from Wichita, but he told us the satellite towns around there, the small towns. Rose Hill, Trenton said. Yeah, we can go there. My friend said he would probably go there in the event of some kind of national disaster. He was a prepper. We can go there. It's a quiet community. It's small, just like where we came from. Yeah, but the defenses are probably shit. It doesn't matter. We'll just continue to head south until we hit the ocean. Then we'll get a boat. Fine. We'll do it your way. How far is it? Less than an hour, Trevor winced. Less than an hour. Very well. Well, gentlemen, ladies, look at the 2 little girls. Looks like we're headed to Rose Hill. Now let's get the hell out of here.